me, are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and...
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And I happen to have two guests this evening, fortunately, and we're going to have a very interesting conversation. We're going to start out with WhiteFox, who is a shaman and a spiritual warrior. And Michelle Marie has had the opportunity to stop by and stop in for a bit too. And she's also I would call her a spiritual warrior as well. And she made it through the Milton hurricane. So anyway, let me bring on WhiteFox and let me bring on Michelle Marie, and we'll get this show on the road. So let me do that. Hi, WhiteFox. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So why don't we start with WhiteFox, with you telling us a little bit about your background, the things that you do. You have some very special, I think, abilities that all of us have, but some of us have it already developed and some of us are working on it. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and also the topic we were going to talk about, because you're the expert on it here.
Well, I wouldn't call myself an expert, but thank you. I am the WhiteFox. I'm half Native American. I'm trained as a shaman and have been for many lifetimes. In this lifetime, I was reawakened at a very early age. The shaman thought it was important to do so. My tribe is Blackfoot, by the way. The shaman thought it was important to do so because I have a unique ability from birth. My third eye is hardwired to my physical eyes, so I can actually see into the astral plane around me. So that's led to a whole lot of misadventures without instructions growing up. But now I have come to the conscious decision to use my knowledge to assist in the awakening of humanity, as well as to fight away the dark. Tonight's topic, the Weedo, is a topic known throughout the native cultures. My tribe specifically spoke about them as the name of the Weedo. But in my research and over the years, I've come to understand that the Weedo is just another name for the archons. They're a plasma being that lives within the plasma realm that actually can attach to you and influence you. The natives call it the Weedo, or the mind virus. But it actually is an out-of-plane entity that is influential. It can mislead you and pull you into dark places, including depression and a great many other not-so-pleasant things in your life. And they are the kind of being that whispers in your ear all those dark thoughts of suicide, and many, many other dark things that it will influence you towards. It's like a negative conscious, but it's actually an entity outside of yourself. And sadly, most of the world is infected, whether they know it or not. These beings don't care if you know. They just want to influence you to help bring about the reality so that they can come fully into this reality.
How would they do that? What do you mean by that?
Well, there's a great many satanic and dark rituals that actually tap into the plane in which they exist, which is the lower astral plane, by the way.
Okay. Is the higher astral plane better? I mean, I don't want to throw that in there.
Yes, actually it is. The higher astral planes is where the Christian heaven is located. It actually goes much higher than that, but that's about the start of it, around the upper 4D or astral planes into the 5D, where you're starting to get into the Christ consciousness existence planes.
Fascinating. So what is the means that this mind virus, so to speak, the archons, how do we counteract what they're trying to do, for example?
Well, the first thing is to acknowledge and know that they're there, because as long as you don't acknowledge it, they stay in the shadow and can continue. Acknowledging that they're there and being aware is the first step in combating it, because if you don't know there's a problem, you can't fix it. When you acknowledge that they're there are many people refer to them as energetic or etheric attachments, or even spiritual attachments. These negative beings thrive on lower vibrational emotions and will help keep you in those emotions, including pretending to be your ego to influence you. The defense against them is to stand in your power and acknowledge that you are a piece of creation. You are a part of God, and that authority allows you your free will. And with your free will, you can reject these beings. And because of divine law, they have no choice but to leave when you do. But you have to acknowledge it, and you have to address it first. Some of the other combatant influences would be using salt. Having a decent salt in your diet would help to reject them, because salt has many energetic and astral properties most people are not aware of.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? That's another thing that they told us. You better be careful. Don't have too much salt. I know.
Because every morning I gargle with salt water, and I imagine purifying my energy system with white light at the same time.
That's a good idea.
That's a very good practice, and that energetic white light that you envelop yourself with actually reinforces the higher vibes, which can reject those lower vibe beings. Even if you're not sure how to reject them, just by maintaining as high a vibe as you can, that energy rejects them, because they're a lower vibrational being, and like vibration attracts like vibration. Things like drinking alcohol, which lowers your vibration after the first couple drinks, leave you wide open and make it easy for those entities to attach to you.
Yeah. Setting an intention and closing your aura and shining your light and making affirmative statements, all of those things, like intentions to raise your vibration, to keep it high, to shine your light, and to visualization, all of these things. I mean, we do have divine powers, and we do have divine authority. And so making statements or affirmations about closing our aura and about protection and about shielding and shining the light. I mean, a lot of these things we can do to raise our vibration, but also create our light to be more powerful, like a powerful light, like turn up the wattage, amplify the light, that kind of thing. What do you think about that?
That's actually a very real, legitimate thing. In my ability to see, I can see the aura. And I've literally watched people meditate and watch their aura just continuously get brighter and even expand. The more you hold the higher vibe, the more it shows in your aura, which your own aura will act as a shield against these things, even without your knowledge. If you are holding that vibe and the understanding that God gave you this authority by giving you free will, and that God is a piece of you and you are a piece of God.
Yeah, that's so awesome that we are, and we've kind of been steered away from that type of feeling from religions and other ideas about that. That's sad.
Sadly, society is designed to pull you away from and give away your power. They trick you into it in every way they can, and modern technology, TVs, and other things, they're using a billion ways to lower our vibe and steal our power. And most of us don't even know we have it.
I think currently we're steering away from that. And like, for example, my guides told me to stop watching TV a long time ago, so I don't watch TV.
Exactly.
I don't either.
That's how you take away their ability to influence you. You turn off the programming.
Exactly.
Yeah. I really feel like more and more people are seeing more and more every day. And so as more people see, I know there's still some sleepwalkers, but I get a sense when I go out that people seem a little bit more friendly than usual, a little more talkative than usual. And I see that as a very positive thing. And I think they're starting to question things more and more all the time. And that's exactly what we need, because when they question something, they'll probably do a little research or hear something and talk to other people about it, get more information. And then that's just, they start to become more and more enlightened. And it seems to me, I don't know if this happens to other people, but I mean, I didn't start from birth, from a very young age like you did. But once I found one thing out, I couldn't stop digging. It was like almost an addiction to get more.
Yeah,
oh my God,
it cascades.
Oh my God, I don't believe this. Oh my God, just one thing after
It all
another.
starts with the beginnings of awareness. When you start becoming aware of the oddities that don't fit what your ideal is, that's the first steps in waking up. Even if you don't know, you just get this clue. And the more you question, the more it starts to crack the box around you that they have built with their programming.
Can I ask a question?
And it cascades. Go right ahead.
Can you tell us or describe, do you have any shamanic rituals or practices to help clear these entities for other people? I mean, do you help people that way?
I actually do, but I don't put it out there a lot because I'm pretty busy with a lot of the work I do, but I'm more than happy to help people with that. I have a Telegram group to where I do a meeting every Thursday evening with the entire group. Anyone can come in and talk, ask questions. I do healings and other things, all free of charge.
Nice.
That's really beautiful. Not too many people are willing to do that free of charge.
I view it. I work for my own living. I provide my own way of life. Spirit gave me these abilities and gifts whether I asked for them or not. It did not charge me for them. So why should I charge to share that information when it's a part of everyone?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's good to highlight it so that people have more awareness, because attention can be drawn in many different directions. And if it's up and out, higher and expanded, then it just really helps the evolution of the soul.
Well, they say that our behavior and what we do is based on our belief systems, and our belief systems are established through the information that we receive and is made available to us. And we are finding out, and other people are finding it out now too, that the official narrative usually is not very, maybe considered or called official, but it has nothing to do with the truth.
Or reality around you. Reality is so much more than most people can perceive, because their whole life they've been programmed in these boxes. Fit into society, get a job, pay your taxes. You got to break those programs in your mind in order to expand your mind to the grander reality that really is around you. My site, at the very least, made it difficult for me to deal with being in crowds, and for me to, even when I got my driver's license, I had problems because I see into both realms at the same time. I actually stopped the car in the middle of the road and got out and checked to see if what I was looking at was real or not. It was real, just not in this reality. And it set me back a little bit. But at the same token, my reality has been so expanded that I can actually see when someone is lying to me. I can tell when someone is throwing energy around. And it can be a bit overwhelming. But at the same time, these lessons, these insights are things that could very well help a lot of people, which is why I volunteer to do this.
That's a wonderful thing, and we certainly appreciate it. And that's why it's nice to have this on a show where it can be repeated. People can listen to it if it resonates with them, and it can actually help them. And that's ultimately the goal here too. It's another reason why I don't charge for my shows, even though I'm beginning to wonder if I need to. But anyway, I'll keep going as long as I can, because I found that when you have faith that you will be provided for, when you're doing something to help others, not just yourself, that a way and the means is provided to you.
From my experiences, I would concur with that. I didn't come from a wealthy place, but at the same time, anything I have ever needed was there when I needed it. And if I had extra from with that, I would continue the flow of abundance and share it with someone else. And I learned the secret of abundance, that when you have it, share it. It'll always give you more than you need. But if you don't share it, you're literally putting a dam in the river at yourself, and the abundance stops flowing. So to keep the abundance, keep it flowing. And the energy in the universe is very benevolent. It's not as negative as most people think.
Sharing and gratitude really expand resources.
I agree. Yes. I talk to my sons about that all the time. Especially when people get discouraged and think that, they start, that Weedo starts coming around, whispering little not nice things in your ear.
Oh, yeah. And many who are asleep don't even realize that's not them talking in their head. That's something else.
I'm happy to hear you say that, because that's something I've been trying to convince someone about. That it's not his own
I learned
thoughts.
a long time ago. I'm sorry. I learned a long time ago that your thoughts are not your own until you claim them. Because we all share a collective consciousness, even at the subconscious level. And if you resonate to certain thoughts, if you're depressed, even though you're not thinking it, those depressed vibes will attract other types of thoughts associated with that in the collective. So you actually start to get thoughts that are not your own coming from the collective, and they'll pass through you like a radio station. It's up to you whether you claim it as your thoughts or reject it, knowing that, oh, that's not my thought, that's just one passing through. Just change your radio station.
When people claim their divine authority, then they get into causal consciousness rather than victim consciousness and become conscious creators. They realize that thoughts are creative, high vibrational feelings of, love, light, like in laughter and stuff like that, anything to keep your vibration high. But being a master of where you place your attention, because that's where your energy is going. That's like really, really important. Who you are and use your divine authority, and where you place your attention helps you become a conscious creator and get out of victim consciousness.
That is true. But at the same token, you can't always maintain that high vibe in your current emotional standing. When people talk about raising their vibe, many think it's in the moment, how I feel this very moment. Actually, it's more over your lifetime. Your whole energy plays at different frequencies, and as you grow, that vibration changes. That's the overall vibration that you want to raise. In the moment, in the immediate, you might be faced with the death of a loved one, and so it's really hard to hold a high vibe when you're feeling sad for the loss. Granted, if you're awake, it's not a loss. They're just not in body feeling pain anymore. But for those who do still get in those situations, it's okay. You are actually meant to feel your emotions. What determines whether they're good or bad is how you choose to react to them, which is also a part of your free will. Being mindful of how you react.
When you said
is very important.
when you said overall, that's like what people can change is their baseline state of consciousness. So states of consciousness do fluctuate, but they can fluctuate.
Absolutely.
Then you can establish a higher baseline, and so you have more of an equilibrium, and you don't dip down as much. And you can do that with intention
Or as far.
as well as regular.
Or as far. That's really good. That because that, yeah, I've experienced that myself. You know, like if I start to starting to get depressed or something, it has so much to do in the way you think about it or allow yourself to feel about it. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, you don't have to suppress or deny your feelings because that carries information. You can really just process the feelings and get the information out and that's a very high spiritual intelligence, really acknowledging feelings.
Well, feelings are, isn't it interesting how they try to get us to suppress our feelings a lot? I mean, in terms of...
Well, do you know why?
They want us to be a robot.
Well, besides that, the more you suppress your emotion, the more you fall into apathy. And then you've given away your power, because part of your power is emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. It's up to you how you project that energy while you're feeling it, when it wells up in you. That's part of standing in your power. When you are blocking your emotions or suppressing them, you're creating energetic blockages within your chakra network and imbalancing your chakras altogether.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what energetic blocks are when you're dealing with emotion. Mm-hmm. That's why the shadow work is important, to clear such blockages.
They program men in particular to block their emotions because they're not supposed to cry. They're not supposed, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And so that's programming. And that creates blocks, like you said, which until people recognize or am able to be aware, you can't do anything about anything until you're aware of it, I guess is what it boils down to.
Awareness is key first.
That's what
once you're aware, then you can address the problem. Exactly. The other flip side of that is your emotions can also get out of balance, and this is where emotional maturity comes in. Without emotional maturity, your emotions run you, not the other way around, and you will lose control over anger and many other things. And this can be just as disharmonious as having no emotion. The key is actually to balance the two brains, the head and the heart, and have them collaborate together. Once you do, it opens up the third brain to your access, which is where your intuition comes from, which is located within from about your navel all the way down to the groin. That whole area is full of a layer of brain cells known as the third brain in the human body.
You're breaking up a little bit for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why, but and
they don't like me sharing this stuff.
You apparently not, because I missed some of it, and I don't know if it's just my hearing or it seemed like there was some kind of interference there. Maybe, I don't know, but would it be hard to repeat some of that?
Oh no, I'll go back into it. I don't mind at all. I was talking about the balance between the head and the heart.
Okay.
The head-heart coherence creates the balance between the emotions and the logical part of you. And once those two are cooperating and working in tandem, then it opens up you a greater access to the third brain, which is where your intuition talks to you, your gut brain.
Okay.
In the last 10 years, I think science has discovered the heart has twice as many brain cells as in your head. They've also discovered the brain in the gut that actually has 500 times the brain cells than your heart. That's why your intuition can come through strongly if you allow it. That's also the part that controls your emotions or your emotional display in the body, as well as digestion, your blood, your pulse. All of that is controlled through the gut brain.
Very interesting. I don't know if most people are aware of how many different brains we actually have. And I also know that the heart, the resonance or the field around the heart is huge. It's bigger than, you know, the brain or anywhere else, which shows how important our heart is. And with an,
The
if you're
heart's
not in your,
radius.
yeah, I was going to say, if you're not
I'm
in your
sorry.
heart, you're not in the game. I was just going to say, if you're not in your heart, you're not in the game. You have to be in your heart.
That's very true. Because if you have no heart involved in it, you can easily slip into the dark. The dark and the light progress down their path equally until one point. Those who choose the light path tend to unlock the heart or build the bridge between the third chakra and the heart chakra, as to where the dark path skips the heart chakra. And that's what the difference. They're heartless, they're emotionless. But our real power comes from our emotions, which is energy in motion.
You actually see people's energy, like, or visualize it, or how do you perceive that?
Well, if I just glance at a person, whether it's up close or at a distance, it's kind of like a cloud of energy. Sometimes it's swirling, sometimes it's got multiple swirls. These are different bits of information. I'm still learning to interpret them because the gift did not come with instructions. Though I am guided to, I am gaining guidance from my higher self that helps me to understand them. If I look very closely, then I can actually see the energy moving through the chakra network within the body that is closely tied to the nervous system. And the chakras as well. I can also see energy attachments and the energetic cords that come off of people and vanish into the distance to whoever or whatever they're attached to.
Or that are attached to them.
Very true. Most people are unaware of them. Energetic cords are usually caused by people you know just making a connection with someone. They're not a bad thing. But if you still have energetic cords attached to an ex-girlfriend or whatever, someone you're no longer with that you're not happy with, that connection can continue to cause you issues. And that's why they tell you about cutting cords. You're severing ties and energetic links to these people so that they're not holding you down or siphoning off your energy.
That's it, siphoning off your energy. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But when you make these connections, say, like us in this group, just by being in the room, there's an energetic connection there. But it's actually a positive one, as we're all in a similar vibe. And I'm sure that y'all too can feel the love flowing from me.
Yeah, sharing information with, benevolent intentions and, the higher intentions of sharing for, service, because we're in service. We're not takers, we're givers.
That's right.
I claimed and stood up and declared to Spirit in 2016 that I would be in service for the greater good. And at that point, I started receiving a whole lot more guidance. But before that, I didn't pick a side. So I had just my abilities and no clue what to do with them, other than stay away from crowds. It was an overload.
I don't like crowds either. I just can't wait to get out of them when if I have to be in one for some reason. Yeah,
I love to be in a crowd of trees.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I love trees.
They have a very subtle aura.
Yeah. I actually do hug trees.
They love you for it, and if you know how and are open, you can communicate with the trees. They will actually share images with you in your third eye if you meditate while holding a tree or communicating with it.
I've had that experience here I call it my meditation tree.
I do it all the time with random trees because I like the stories they share. The older the tree, the more stories.
It's interesting because I asked the tree if it would share anything that it sees in the future, and I saw a lot of water.
A lot of what?
Water, flooding.
I
Yeah.
named a tree that I used to go by all the time. I named it Georgia, and this was in California. And then I ended up moving. I moved back to Oregon, and Georgia came to me in a vision, like to say hello. I mean, it was so exciting. It was like seeing an old friend, but it was in my inner vision. Georgia, my tree that I love.
Oh, yeah. Trees will share their healing energy with you when you connect in that way. You can do the same thing with crystals as well. They are living beings.
We just talked about that in my previous show with Frank Jacob about the
Oh,
Earth
did you?
being. Oh yeah, about the Earth being a living being.
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, well, it was just
It
yesterday.
is. And so, it is a living being. I've communed with Gaia myself more than once. I mean, that is part of my shaman training. But at the same token, you can take that relationship to the same level you can with your buddy you want to go sit and play poker with. You can literally sit and have a conversation with them. You just got to tune into their frequency with intention. And then clear your mind, and if they're willing, they'll connect in return. The planet, she loves it, so anytime you try, you're going to connect with Gaia. She waits for it. She wants to hear from her children, which is all of us.
Everybody loves love. So does Gaia.
Yeah.
I don't know,
tell
the
her-
Archons aren't too fond of it.
Too bad. Anyway, whenever I'm out in nature, I always tell a Gaia how much I love her and how beautiful Mother Earth is, and this we really are in heaven on earth. That was something that Frank spoke about too. It's really here. It's just we gotta get rid of all the crap, the darkness, or most of it anyway.
Remove the veil from your eyes by educating yourself and deprogramming the things that you find to be lies.
Yes.
Start with politics. That's the easiest one to find the lie. If their mouth's moving, they're lying.
Well, I was saying poly and then ticks. So there are a whole bunch of
It shows you they're parasites.
parasites. Yeah, it says it's right in my name. So yeah, I give up on those. That whole scenario. I just waste of time and
Another
energy.
thing most people never think to connect with is their own body. I mean, yeah, we have it. It's alive. It moves when we tell it. But do we ever talk to ourselves? Do we ever understand what's going on within us until we're sick? Or do you take time and actually commune with your own body and make that connection? Because your body is the best doctor for you. It'll tell you what's going on before it happens and how to correct it. A doctor doesn't know every single individual person, and we're all unique. So one medicine does not fit all.
Okay, WhiteFox. Anne
Yes.
is asking, thank you, Gail, thank you for sharing. Could you tell me, WhiteFox, where, well, she's missing where WhiteFox is located on Telegram. Thanks.
My group's name on Telegram is Some Pudwhackers Spreading Truth and Love. All one sentence, no spaces, no special marks.
And no one else has that. So you got to be able to find it. All you got to do is put it in the search room and you'll find it.
Oh, yeah. And it is open to the public. There's no restrictions and whatnot.
It's a very nice group. I've been in it. Very nice.
I do. It's basically an open community we can all share. I treat everyone as an equal. And like I said, I open the room every Thursday night at 7 on Central Time. And I'll sit in there for hours and just talk to people, interact, help them through their issues, and even offer healings if necessary. Anyone is welcome.
That's a good place to get to know you and get to know the people that like to be there, because that's like-minded people. We all want to
Gail
find.
is also in my group.
I am. I stop by. I'm your hours ahead of me. And sometimes by the time I stop by, everybody's almost ready to go. But I always look through it and see what people have posted, and it's always very interesting. So it's worth your time to go and look.
And you can get a hold of me directly there, or you could even say hi to Gail in there if you wish. And if you want to come, Michelle, you're welcome to.
I would, but I'm not on Telegram. I don't do a whole lot of social media.
Telegram's a good one.
That is the only social media I use because it's not associated with the major companies, and there's almost no censorship. So I don't censor it. I want you to have the truth raw, so I put it in there when I find it. I also give energy lessons because I teach using energy. And again, I do not charge for those lessons.
That's
some
a
will be
real
posted
rarity.
in the chat. Some are on Thursday nights.
What do you do? Is it, do you do like a talk, or do you have an outline, or how do you do it? If I might ask.
I open the room and it's a free for all. Whoever asks a question, sometimes I'll have a topic I'm guided to share. But for the most part, I leave it wide open. We'll talk about anything. There's no taboo topics. We're all adults. If you got a question, ask. That's how my higher self works. You ask me a question, it'll answer. But if I ask it a question, it tells me to go do the work and find out.
Oh, that's funny.
I made that connection back in 2012 on December 21st at 11:37 p.m.
Do you ever get visions about future events or things of that nature?
I do occasionally, but in most cases, I'm also expressed and was taught that these are just potentialities. By being aware of them, I can add my energy to influence in one way or another. But at the same token, it gives me a heads up that this is a potential. And I take it as such and decide if that's a potential I'm moving towards or not. If it's something that you can't get around, I happily share it with the group so they can at least be aware. But when you make the connection to your own higher self, you'll get all the same information any moment because your higher self wants to help you. It's just waiting on you to reach up and connect. And it does take some inner work and some proof to your higher self. You're not just screwing around. You really want to make that connection. And when you do the work and make that connection, the world changes for you.
What do you see?
Most of the time for the better.
How do you describe the work so people are clear?
Well, the inner work has to do with the deprogramming of false beliefs, searching for truth and seeking. And even after more than 20 years of seeking, I'm still a seeker. I still want to know more. I still want to expand. There's a kind of a spiritual drive there. But that kind of drive will open up to your higher self. You can even open up to your higher self just to cuss them out because you didn't like what it put you through. But at the same time, that connection is still there.
That's funny because that reminds me of Michelle telling me the time about I whine to God. I'm going to, things aren't going well. I'm going to tell him, be willing to help. I need some help here, kind of thing. And
Spirit doesn't get mad at you. Half the time it giggles about it and just lets you vent because it understands down here is totally different from there. There's nothing but love from your own higher self for you. As far as channeling goes, when you connect with your own higher self, you're a conduit directly to the spirit realm through your own higher self. If you channel for outside entities, your vibration will determine what level of entities come to you to communicate, and lower vibe ones will definitely lie to you and manipulate you. So if you channel, make sure to raise your vibration first. The only entity I channel is my own higher self, because it's connected to all the others, so why do I need to go somewhere else? It's not going to lie to me, and it's actually in for my highest good.
Source, yeah.
Source.
It's connected to source anyway.
Source.
Yeah.
Directly. And your higher self is absolutely the only thing in this universe that is truly looking out for you. because your higher self is you, but it's the part of you that's the part of God, and that's where your power derives from. Drawing it outside from any other source is not much different than what the dark does, because they're cut off from source, so they're pulling energy from everything they can just to stay in existence.
Well, I
If
bet
everyone in the planet,
That's the gist.
sorry,
What you just said. I said that's the gist of our spiritual evolution. What you just said is going directly to source and not trying to get energy from the outside. People that don't know any better, they'll create, drama and stuff, and they don't realize they don't know any better than to get energy from the outside by creating drama and being energy vampires. You just have to learn to get it direct from source, and you don't need any drama.
It's the cleanest you'll get. Yeah.
Right. That's
most
really
people
true.
want to think that, and religion only made that worse by telling you God is outside of you.
Yeah. And
no, it's
how
not.
dare you think God is inside of you, or you're a part of God? How dare you?
I've been expelled from more than one church for asking that very question.
Okay.
But that only confirmed for me I was right.
I have gotten excommunicated too, so I
well, it hasn't just stopped at excommunication for me. I've actually been attacked. That's part of why I don't share my picture.
I haven't been attacked. I know I have a few people that I have on. Chief doesn't like to have his picture up for that reason too. He's even had a hit on. See, it's really risky being out there telling the truth.
It is.
Or telling things that they don't want you to know. But I feel we have divine protection no matter what, because we're doing.
Yeah,
we do. As long as you walk your path, you are protected. As long as you stay true to your path, God's got your back. I will tell you, I had an experience in 2018 where a white van with blacked out windows and government plates parked in front of my house. Never been there before, just was there. And then that same night, I had a heart attack, but it felt like a heat wave coming at me from the direction that van was parked. Then it sped off.
Wow.
That's how serious the attacks have been towards me for some of what I've shared on YouTube. I used to volunteer with the higher self community, sharing all kinds of things back in 2016 through then.
Dangerous time still. I think it's gotten better for people. But years ago, that's why people got
the dark
killed.
is panicking, so they're trying everything they can to stop it. They're going to fail, but that doesn't mean they're not going to try. It's like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Their nerves swell and lashing out, and they are.
I was just telling my mom today, with your words, try they will, fail they will.
Yes.
Well, that's good, because it's time for the table to flip. And
the tide has been turning for a while. It's just not visible in the public unless you know what you're looking at.
And I think it's more than halfway by now. I really do. So
when we reach over 50%, you will see changes happen overnight. 50% of the global population. Right now, the spiritual community, from what I can feel, is only about 21% compared to the global popularity. But there's also a lot of fake people, NPCs, clones running around. And these things don't have an aura, so I know when I see one.
Oh, that must be nice.
Anything alive has an aura.
Yeah.
The problem is when you can see them, they can see you.
Oh, okay. Well, I found it very interesting, because I've heard this story before, that when somebody had a heat sensitive camera or light or what have you, and there was a crowd of people there. Pardon?
Is it curly in photography?
I don't know if it's curling. I don't think it's curling. I don't know if it's night vision or what it is, but you can see heat. It's heat sensitive. Like if you point it at a person, you're going to see red heat because their body gives off heat. There was a crowd of people.
Well,
okay. Have you heard this story before? There was a crowd of people, and Hillary was in the crowd. Okay, everybody was had that red heat signature. Nothing came off of her body. Nothing. She's an android.
Well, she was a robot.
Yeah.
You could tell it in her movements. Especially if you watch her eye movements in the video.
I never forgot that.
They're incoherent.
Yeah.
There actually has been I'm also former military, but I don't like to get into that. But they have a technology since the 1960s in real time, watches the public with cameras and is actually watching their auras. They're looking for specific types of auras because these are people they target.
Lovely. Now, would this be?
I learned that in the military that tried to exploit my gifts.
They did that a lot, tried to find and exploit people's gifts. I'm aware of that.
Oh, they do. They look for kids like us. The school system partially is for screening for people like us.
They did that to my son. One in particular. Yeah. And the other one's a possibility as well. But how do they target people? What are they looking for when they look in the aura? Are they looking for someone that's vulnerable? Or are they looking for somebody that's gifted that they can exploit? Or both?
They're looking for gifts which show up as different signatures and markings in the aura. Every aura is a constant tapestry of moving colors, patterns, and swirls in this cloud. The colorations talk about your emotion, how you're feeling at the time. The patterns and swirls can indicate differences within your genetics or within your body, such as, say, if you had cancer in your knee, you'll have like a dark blue or black spot right over your knee in your aura, but the rest of your aura will still be doing what it does.
Wow.
You have no control over your aura. There is a specialty that you can train in learning to control your aura, but for the most part, it's controlled by your higher self, which does not lie. I may see this stuff, but I'm still trying to piece together understanding for it. So it's hit or miss if I can totally get how somebody is by what their aura is saying. But I'm a lot better now than I used to be. Had 20 years of practice.
That helps a lot, doesn't it? No matter what it is that
it does. There's no substitute for experience. Unfortunately, It's also a double-edged sword because not only do I see the aura, I actually see into the fourth dimension. I see entities walking around on the streets just like us. I can see their structures in our reality. They're not. I can see through the veil. I was born that way.
What percentage of your just guesstimate, of people that you are aware of that have this kind of, I'm sorry, Max.
I'm told by spirit it's extremely rare to be able to see, but far more common for people to open their third eye and perceive. And then there's a higher percentage of people who can sense. That's the most common expression of it. I'm not sure why I was born with the sight, but, it's what I got. It's what I'm working with.
There's the inner vision too, because when you were talking about that, I've been guided to do aura healings before, and basically that comes through my heart, hand, maybe my eyes, but I perceive and get messages. But one day I was working on this girl, and her whole side, this whole one side of her aura, her energy field was black. And later I told her that, there was this area that was all black. And she said, oh, that's where I have cancer. And I didn't know she had cancer. But,
it shows up in the aura. All disorder or disease actually starts in the energetic body, including parasites. They come in, they disrupt your energy with their energy, and then they feed on you physically, which is you have multiple layers to your body. There's the auric body, the ethereal or astral body, or energetic body, the astral body, and then there's the causal body. Well, each of those layers correlates to a different one of your chakras. As you work on focus for each chakra and balance it and open it, you become more able to sense and use those other parts of yourself. Of course, you also have to be aware of them. Most people now No, they have the physical body, and then they have their astral body. About 70% of people know the astral body. Most call it the spirit body in religion.
It's a spirit body. In
But-
the astral plane?
Your spirit body transcends all planes. It's on the same plane as God. The part
Oh,
of
I
you
thought-
that can
yeah.
talk directly to God. That's the part of you that's completely eternal. And when you acknowledge that is the real you, and the rest of this is a byproduct, then you cease to worry about death because you realize you don't die. You just change suits. But
I guess the
religion
worst-
teaches you get one life and damns you to your own and reinforces your belief that you go to hell. So in many cases, they do. Because they believe it. That's how strong beliefs really are.
Boy, and they have packed people full of beliefs. I tell you what, all different kinds of
Mhm.
beliefs. And
Divide and conquer.
yeah, they're
Well,
very-
I think that's part of the awakening is people used to buy into or believe whatever they hear. Now there's a lot
Yeah.
more discernment and sorting and deciding, that resonates, that doesn't resonate, I've been tricked, I've been trapped. And that's really like, there's been so much misplaced trust, in the media, in the medical
That's unnatural.
thing. And that's changing. That's changing very rapidly right now. Very rapidly.
I mean,
Nothing hidden can remain hidden in these times. It's all going to come out in the wash. So you might as well face it now and get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to deal with even your own stuff, even if it's not portrayed to the world. It comes back up within you to be seen, acknowledged, and released. Things from your past, injuries, even things from past lives, you may not know where it comes from. And in these times, your smart body, your intelligent living body, which is there whether your spirit's there or not, even though it's a byproduct of your spirit, that is even helping us to release these cellular memory blockages, which is what a lot of the random pains come from. Whether you had an injury there or not, you may have in a previous life, and your cellular memory is releasing it.
Wow. That's interesting.
how much help we have in these ascending times.
So we also have, do you ever have any contact with extraterrestrials?
I can say I have, yes. About a year ago, here in my living room at 3 in the morning, I walked in here to get a drink and stopped dead in my tracks because there was a glowing, floating orb about the size of a baseball hovering over my couch. After about a minute, it changed form and tried to look humanoid. And I started receiving a whole bunch of telepathic images. I'm still trying to understand it, so I don't put it out much. But this was right here in my own house, in my living room. When after what seemed like 3 hours, it just turned back into a ball and floated through the wall and disappeared. It flashed and pulsed in colors that are not on our color wheel, well beyond this realm. And it reassured me to keep on keeping on because I'm part of the ground crew. And I told him, what do you mean? Because I was speaking verbally. Didn't even wake my girlfriend up who was here at the time. Went back to bed. It turned in to be 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not sure how long I stood there, but it seemed like about 3 hours.
Wow.
It was really amazing. It's hard to put to words the feelings I was getting.
Were the feelings that you were getting, were they more blissful? Were they more...
They were very calming and peaceful.
Okay.
It was not an
no
oppressive feeling. It was really relaxed.
No.
It was
threat of
almost
any-
like they were just throwing love at me, is what it felt like.
Okay. I've had others, people that have had contacts, and they talk about the love that exudes from some of these beings.
Well, that's how it felt. It's really hard to put to words. But this being assured me that I was on my right path, and that was about the end of the conversation. I don't really remember most of it because it was really early in the morning and over a year ago. But I will never forget those feelings or that color. the colors were. I can't find them to paint it. There's no colors here to do that with. And they were constantly swirling and moving. It had trouble keeping the form. It kept popping back into the little ball and then popping back up into what would be about a 7-foot tall being. I don't remember its facial features. It did not have blonde hair. It had like a silver hair. Very shimmery, almost like starlight.
Cool.
But that was right here in my own living room.
That's amazing. Actually, I think it's like a blessing, and they only do that to someone that won't be fearful about it.
Yeah, you have to be open, but we can all have an interaction tonight if we wanted. But you have to be open in your heart and in your mind, and you also have to let them know, because they are also bound by the law of free will. They can't come and interact with you if you don't say something to them first. You have to ask if you want it. That's part of the law of free will.
But this guy
now, the dark ones.
Go ahead.
The dark ones, they don't care about your free will. If they're going to abduct you, they're going to abduct you. And that really does happen. I knew a few people, and I'd seen it happen from a distance when I was a kid. I spent a lot of time in the woods. Mostly because I didn't get along with society, but the trees were very inviting, and I got to see some really awesome stuff out there. Fae.
That's awesome.
I got to meet some of the Fae.
Oh,
well, the Fae. Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to meet the Fae. I really would. I don't know how much time we got left, but real quickly, why don't you tell us how we can get a hold of you, both of you, for,
Ladies first.
Okay. I'll tell you about my website is smileforlove.com, and you can find my books, Live Love, Forever Free, and It Is a New World After All. They help with the deprogramming and reprogramming of your consciousness and just give lots of spiritual guidance and raise the vibration. And so smileforlove.com, and then Smile Soul Power on Rumble or YouTube.
Okay, you, WhiteFox. Yours is Telegram, right? Oh, something. Okay. I don't know what happened to your sound, but I got messed up a little bit. It's some Pudwalker selling truth and love.
Some Pudwalker spreading truth and love.
Truth and love. Yes, I have to.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, some Pudwalker spreading truth and love. And that is a wrap for the show. We have to go. Thank you, everyone. Here's a heart for all.
Much love, everyone.
And much love.
Thank you, WhiteFox. We love you.
Yes, thank you for your wisdom. Very much appreciated. And thank you, Michelle, for the same thing. So,
thank you.
Bye, everyone.